And welcome to the Hot Seat of College Football Show. I am Trent, your host. As today we're going to do a little Heisman prediction coming into this next year of college football. Let's talk about it. So today I wanted to go into my Heisman prediction, who I think is going to win it, my 4 Heisman finalists, and then my top 10 guys who I think could absolutely win it if they had the stats. So before we get into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 500 before the beginning of this up and coming season, but I want to talk, and we're going to start off with some honorable mentions. Then we'll go 10 through 5, and then 4 through 2 will be our finalists, and then number 1 will be our winner. Let me know down in the comments, who do you think will win the Heisman Trophy? So let's start off with some guys. I got 5 guys in the honorable mentions. So a total of 15. Our 5 honorable mentions are Dylan Stewart from South Carolina. He is supposed to be one of the best, maybe the best edge rusher in the SEC with Colin Simmons. You look at the SEC, they don't have great tackle play, and especially after we just had a great tackle draft where all the best tackles in the SEC have gone to the NFL. Think of, Caden Proctor from Alabama. Think of Monroe Freeling from Georgia, Bisnotis from A&M. A lot of good guards and a lot of the good best offensive linemen are all gone, and which I think can add and give much better stats to a guy like Dylan Stewart, who had a very great freshman year, very disappointing sophomore slump, and now in his money year. The next guy staying in the SEC, and actually all 5 of these are all SEC guys. I got Ahmad Hardy, the running back from Missouri. He has been great the past couple of years. He was a top 5 running back last year for the first half of the year. Would not say the second half of the year, guys like Kejuan Lacey really stepped up at, Caleb Hawkins from North Texas really kind of took roles as some of the top running backs in the country. Obviously, you had Jeremiah Love, even Jadarian Price, the backup, were all better. But I thought Ahmad Hardy was amazing last year. And now with Austin Simmons coming in, he's not a running quarterback, but you're not running the air raid at Missouri. So I think Ahmad Hardy will get all the stats similar to what he had last year. And I definitely think will be a Heisman contender. If he has a magical year, could be a finalist. He's not going to win it, which is why he's in the honorable mentions. The next guy, and I could have him higher. This guy could win it, especially with how bad or how lackluster the team around him is because all the players left. That's Trinidad. And the reason why I don't have Trinidad higher is because in the top 10, everyone in the top 10 I think could 100% win it. Actually, okay, they could kind of win it. My thing with Trinidad is I think Ole Miss is definitely going 9-3 or 8-4, and a Heisman winner is not going to do that. I mean, aside from Travis Hunter, an absolute unicorn, I just don't think that he's going to get there. If his team goes 11-1 and he plays superhero every single day in the big bad SEC varsity JV level conference, then I think he could get there. A lot of people could say Trinidad's one of the best quarterbacks. I just think with how much talent around him has left, especially on the coaching staff, I don't think Trinidad's gonna. I don't think it's gonna happen. I just don't. He didn't really have the stats last year because of someone like Kejuan Lacey, who's higher on this list. But I got Trinidad. Next one is John Mateer, the quarterback out of Oklahoma. Again, another quarterback. A lot of these quarterbacks could win it. John Mateer was supposed to be what Fernando was last year, was supposed to win the Heisman Trophy coming from Washington State. He has the thumb injury. Season goes off the roads. For him statistically, Oklahoma season has a very good season last year. But for him specifically, especially after, that Michigan game or maybe one of the Bama games, just like the Texas game, the injury did not help him. But if he can stay healthy, definitely think that John Mateer could be a Heisman contender this year. The last one is Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton's a guy where he's never going to win it, but he has a good team around him, and he usually has decent stats. He's a senior guy. He's an amazing, what we call college quarterback, and he's the last guy on this honorable mention. So now in our top 10, I have at number 10, I have an edge rusher. He's my only edge rusher in the top 10. That's Colin Simmons from Texas. For him to get at least, so everyone in the top 10, I think, could get to the Heisman ceremony. And for someone like Colin Simmons to do that, he needs to have a Chase Young or an Aiden Hutchinson type level season. And I just don't think he's going to have that. I don't think he's going to have that, but I think he could, because I think Colin Simmons and Dylan Stewart are the best edge rushers in the SEC. Don't think this isn't a great year for edge rushers, to be honest. Colin Simmons and Dylan Stewart, especially Colin Simmons, are kind of alone at the top. There's not a lot of amazing. I mean, there's Damon Wilson at Miami, but they're in the ACC. But with a lot of the tackles being out, Colin Simmons kind of being a standalone tier 1 edge rusher this year in college football, I think if he has a somewhat of like, not a Chase Young year, but maybe like an Aiden Hutchinson type year, I definitely think he could make New York and be the representative from that Texas team. At 9, I have Malachi Toney, and if you watch my top 10 players or top 10 wide receivers video, you know my opinion on Miami, or on Malachi Toney. If you have not watched that, go watch it. But with Malachi Toney, he was first in receptions last year, which doesn't really mean much. He was just first in receptions. His average yards per target wasn't very long. He was a very like a fast, speedy slot guy, can use kind of all around the line of scrimmage, but downfield wasn't a great deep receiving threat. Good for Malachi Toney. The good thing for Malachi Toney is he doesn't need that. Jeremiah had it and he didn't get in the ceremony last year. But if Malachi Toney has the slots and if he is the most outstanding player, which just means how versatile are you? You know, they talk about with quarterbacks, your Heisman moment. The Heisman moment is always the time where the quarterback goes scrambling and throws a touchdown. It's scrambling. It's a thing that quarterbacks are not really supposed to do. What are wide receivers not really supposed to do? You know, get a smoke screen at the line of scrimmage, take it 50 yards, or line up at H-back and, you know, take it 50 yards. That's not something they're supposed to do, which is why I think he could win it because of how versatile he is. At 8, I have Arch Manning, the quarterback out of Texas. I'm just not very high on Arch, but with Cam Coleman coming in for him, I think that he has the talent around him where he could build up stats. My only problem with him is he did not really stat farm last year. Even in the games where he had 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, his completion rate was like 8 for 40, and he had like an interception or 2 interceptions that were very sloppy, had multiple sacks, and a lot of them came in garbage time where they were getting blown out or where they were down by 25 or in overtime against Kentucky or Mississippi State, who are very bad teams. I don't care what they try to tell you in the SEC. Those are not good teams. Mississippi State got blown out by Toledo, and Kentucky lost 41-0 to Louisville last year. So I don't want to hear anything about those teams being good, but what I've been saying about Arch is Arch right now still isn't better than what Arch was supposed to be heading into Columbus last year in the preseason. Arch has not recovered yet from what he was supposed to be with the hype last year, but I do think Arch is very good. Still has a lot of hype. I don't think he's going to get there, especially with their schedule. Don't think they're going to have a very pretty record. So I just don't think he's going to get there. At 7, I have Kejuan Lacey, and I like Kejuan Lacey. Don't love Kejuan Lacey, but man, the stats are amazing. The stats are amazing. They're feeding him, same with Malachi Toney, they're just feeding him the ball over and over and over again, which is why he has the stats. But that's really all the Heisman people care about. They only ever really care about stats. They don't care about who's the best player because Jeremiah would have won it last year. He didn't even win the Biletnikoff against Mekhi Lemon, who was the 20th pick. There was 19 guys that went over him. At 6, these 6 and 5, you guys are going to be like, whoa. These guys I have winning. You guys can tell I messed up my beard. It's bad. I got it down bad. Anyway, at 6, I have Dante Moore. And he was supposed to be the 2nd overall pick last year. Could be the number. Just because I have him at 6 does not mean I don't think he could be one of the best players in the country. The only thing is stats. You've had, 2 quarterbacks from Oregon go to the Heisman ceremony. You've had Dylan Gabriel, and you've had, under Dan Lanning, who was the other one? Was it Bo Nix? I think it was Bo Nix. My only thing with that is just Dante Moore has kind of crapped the bed when the biggest moments come to him. That's been my only thing with them. Currently, Cavs are losing 89-85, 6-7 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Come on, Cavs. They're down 0-1. Cavs got to pull through. I'm getting distracted. He's kind of been shunned away in the biggest moments, and that's just been something that, look at the 2 Indiana games. Even look at the look at when he played. Who's they didn't play well. Washington did not really play great against. I mean, he didn't play bad against Washington, but he didn't really play great. And now you have Ohio State on the schedule. You have USC on the schedule. I think you have UCLA. You do have UCLA, you have Nebraska, Illinois, Northwestern, at Michigan State, Washington, Boise, Oklahoma State. This is a tough schedule. And I don't know. I have not seen Dante Moore perform amazing in a big marquee matchup yet where we've seen, some other guys do that. Which brings us to our last guy who is not making the ceremony, and that's Julian Sayin. Remember, Julian Sayin is the only remaining Heisman finalist. I actually have him missing it this year. And my thing with Julian is the schedule is really hard. Don't know how pretty the record's going to be. Day's going to have a very mentality of get in, get out, just win the game. We're not going to stat pad because we don't have extra snaps. The only reason why Julian had it was because of the completion record last year and the schedule and the record because of how easy it was, which is why he had the stats. Look at the games against Indiana and Miami. Even the game against Texas and Michigan. I know Texas was at the beginning of the year, but, not great stats in those games. Michigan was all right, but not, amazing stats, the interception. So I just want to see it in a game where it's like, Julian, can you put the team on your back? I don't think he can. I think Julian Sayin is he's going to be great in the NFL or decent in the NFL. Just don't know about. We know you talk about an NFL guy versus a college guy. And everyone's like, oh, if you have a perfect NFL quarterback, he's going to be the best in college. Well, that's not, always true. Sometimes you want a college quarterback. Like last year, if you had Will Howard back instead of Julian Sayin, Ohio State wins the national title because of how old and veteran, at least they get to the national title to play Indiana. Which I think they would beat Indiana. They would definitely beat Miami and Ole Miss. So there's a difference. Julian Sayin is better than Will Howard, but Will Howard would be better for the team in college than someone like Julian Sayin. So that brings us to our top four, and I'm going to go 4-1. At 4, I got the quarterback out of Notre Dame. I got CJ Carr. CJ Carr is let me bring up his stats. So last year, he had 24 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. His QBR was 8th in the country and had 2,700 passing yards. Not the best passing yards, but the schedule was so bad where you didn't have to play anybody. If you look at the two games that actually mattered, the Miami and the A&E. Okay, look at the USC game. He only had 136 passing yards. It was bad weather, and I think he got hurt. But if you look at the two games at the beginning of the year against Miami and A&M, against Miami, his first start ever, 19 for 30, 221, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Against A&M, 20 for 32, 293, a touchdown and a pick. So, obviously, that has to improve. Even against USC, touchdown. In the biggest games, he hasn't really shown up, but he was a true or a redshirt freshman. I think he was a true freshman. Maybe he was a redshirt freshman. And he's 6'3", 210, prototypical pocket passer. You have a great offensive line, and you're going to have a bunch of great receivers. Is the running back and tight end production going to be there? Probably not as much as it was last year, especially for the running backs. But for receiver, bringing in guys like Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter for depth, and even Quincy Porter could probably start. I think CJ Carr, especially with how easy the schedule is, if they can beat Miami, which I think they will, CJ Carr, I think, is headed to New York. The third guy, and going to the rival of CJ Carr, and that is Jayden Maiava. Jayden Maiava had 3,700 passing yards last year, 24 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. His QBR was second. He started in the second half of 2 years ago after Miller Moss, and especially in that bowl game. Started for all of last year, 6'4", 220, 230. He's going to be a senior this year. He is losing a lot at receiver. But if you look at his biggest moments, look at the Iowa win, 254, a touchdown against Oregon, 25 and 43, 306, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Against TCU, they lost in overtime. He had 280, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Didn't play great, but it's a bowl game. I'll let him have that. If you look at the Notre Dame game, 22 of 42, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So he has to cut. If he's only having 24 passing touchdowns, he has to cut back on the interceptions. He did have 6 rushing touchdowns. So In the Illinois game, they lost 2 touchdowns and a pick. So compared to touchdowns and interceptions, he's being more productive than negative, but he is a gunslinger, and he's under a Lincoln Riley offense. What do you want me to say? That a Lincoln Riley offense is not going to have a Heisman contending quarterback? Absolutely he is. And honestly, if you ask me, I don't remember where I put him in my Big Ten quarterbacks rating, but if I could go back and change it, and maybe it's already like this, I would have Jada Maia over Dante Moore, which is why I have him in New York, and that's why I have Dante Moore not in New York. So that brings us to number 2. And if I tell you who number 2 is, you might be able to figure out who is number 1. At 2, I have Jeremiah Smith. I don't think Jeremiah Smith is going to win the Heisman just because he's a receiver. Definitely think he's going to be winning the Blitnikoff. And honestly, if you're asking me when I think Ohio is going to win a Heisman, I think Tavian St. Clair is going to win the Heisman next year or in 2 years. Probably next year. I think Tavian's going to be a one and done. He's like Dwayne Haskins, going to come in for a year, then leave. But Jeremiah had 87 receptions, 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, 14.3 yards per average, and that was considered a bad year. He has 27 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, 29 total touchdowns in 29 games. And honestly, in that UCLA game, he didn't really play. He played for like 2 seconds, then left. So really like 29 touchdowns in 28 games. But he's the best player in the country. We all know this. 6'3", 225, 235 almost. He's going to be amazing. They're going to stat pad him with the schedule. He's going to go absolutely crazy. The only problem is with Carnell gone, can Chris Henry Jr. and Devin McEwen step up to be the second and third guys where they can take a safety and take, a nickel away from Jeremiah Smith? We'll see, but it's Jeremiah Smith. And look, this year, if the Heisman voters, if they denied Jeremiah Smith a place in New York 3 years in a row, they're not going to do that. Like, I got him on my shirt. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Jeremiah is basically, even if he doesn't have the stats, Jeremiah is getting to New York unless he has a disastrous season or he has an injury. Which brings us to my Heisman winner. Transferred to Duke. He is a junior, 6'3", 205, has been through a couple lawsuits, is the quarterback of the Miami Hurricanes. That is Darian Mensah. This guy is electric. You could also say ACC champion Darian Mensah beat Virginia in overtime where he played very, very well. 76% completion rate. Last year was 24 yards short of 4,000 yards passing. It's in the ACC, but almost 4,000 yards passing, 34 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. His QBR, 19, a little low, but man, I know Miami's losing a lot on this defense, but they have a ridiculously easy schedule, and if he could put up these type of numbers at Duke, I don't even want to know what type of numbers he's going to put up at Miami. And remember, Miami had Carson Beck last year, very disappointing, but he had Cam Ward. And I think Cam Ward's going to be better than Darian Mensah. And Cam Ward was a Heisman finalist. I think Darian Mensah is going to win the Heisman. I think Darian Mensah is incredible, and he is my Heisman winner. Let me check up on the Browns. How are we doing? They are down by 5 with 3.5 minutes left. Not looking good. But what is looking good, if you all subscribe today and hit the like button if you enjoyed today's show, let me know down in the comments again, who do you think is going to win the Heisman? But again, that's all I have for you guys today. I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow. And as always, thank you.